Hello, everybody. Old Buck Day back again with episode 114 of the Two Old Bucks. We just keep churning along here. Here with me is none other than
Old Buck Dell.
that would be Old Buck Dale. Welcome, welcome to the coffee shop.
Good to talk to you.
Likewise. So, what's going on in your end of the world?
Well, this is kind of a monumental. Well, I don't know if you call it monumental, but it's a milestone for us because we always judge after the first of the year. We start our countdown to another year, and we kind of make that a joke. Once we hit January 1 or something, it's like,
we did it.
We're going to be another year older. We didn't expect to even get this far. So
yeah, these are all bonus years, baby.
Yeah. So
after some of that stuff you did in high school.
Well, and 100 other places too along the way.
And 100 other places. Yeah, well, those are the ones we can't talk about. If you recall, you keep telling me, "Well, we can't talk about that."
Yeah, we don't want to talk about those things. Anyhow, we're about to turn that number on the old speedometer up another notch.
Yeah.
Mileage. So we'll go from there. So
the old planet's just completing another revolution.
I really am excited about that. I have some good thoughts on some stuff. I have a lot of questions to ask you. You said you had a stump the buck thing. Why don't we start with that? I have sort of one myself. We can try those two things.
You want me to go first with stump the buck? I do have a stump the buck.
Yeah, give me a stump the buck thing.
All right. We're going to do something different this time. Because since you have mastered the other technique, I think you've gotten the last two or three in a row. So
when you're just giving me a number and trying to work it down to what it meant. So.
You're getting smarter, I guess, in your old age. So this is carrying on the machine poem, the artificial intelligence thought. What I've done is I've taken excerpts from two prose poems written by humans, real people. And then I've created another excerpt, a prose poem. The machine has created it. I just said, write a poem about something. Okay. So I'm gonna read these three, and I'm gonna ask you to guess which one is the machine. Okay.
Okay. Now let me be clear.
I'll be clear. Go ahead.
The topic that you gave, the artificial intelligence, which I told you you'd become addicted to. Is it the same topic that the other two poems generally refer to?
Well, they're close. Okay. They're close.
Okay, so I'm just listening for. So it's not generally. It doesn't have to be about like a car or something. It's just three poems, and you're asking me to pick the one. I'm going to pick the one that I think was written by. The first few lines are written.
Yeah, by and the general artificial intelligence. Yeah, the general theme I was looking for was people in the city.
Okay. Let's go.
So here's number one. Along the perimeter of a busy compound, on a sidewalk in front of a high black iron fence, two women are standing in the drizzle without umbrellas. Early fall before trees turn, with the stubborn warmth of summer holding off cooler weather. They are facing each other, one with head bowed, reading something to herself on her cell phone, the other watching her read. Okay, that's the first excerpt.
That's item A.
That's okay. We'll call that item A. Okay. Okay. This will be B. Two lovers are walking through the city, exploring all its splendors at the crack of dawn. They feel captivated by the towering buildings that glimmer in the faint sunlight, suddenly stretching up to touch the sky. The streets are still quiet and vibrant, and the lovers are enthralled. Time passes, and the sun rises above the horizon, as if it were just a tease to the couple's day to explore the city. The city slowly awakes. Okay. That was number two. That was B. Excuse me. That was B. Okay, Here comes C. Even if unconsciously, the city's inhabitants had been glad of the holes. Empty slots between buildings, empty lots on corners, where here a handsome bar, there an impromptu park had been wedged between brick walls, or the green grass had just been left to expand unchecked. Okay, that was C.
Okay, those are the three excerpts, and one was generated by a artificial intelligence computer thing that you've been playing with.
That chat APT thing,
Well, I mean, Our listeners, I'm going to give our listeners a chance to think.
Sorry.
I'm going to give our listeners a chance to ponder this themselves. And some of my logic is there are things that humans can describe quite accurately. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There are just certain things. So listening to that, I'm going to say that
Before you say it,
no, I'm going to give you some criteria.
Okay. Well, we want the listeners to make their guesses also, and you can send them in to us, and we presume
so
you'll
we
be
shouldn't-
honest.
we-
We'll
we
presume you.
shouldn't. All right, we can answer this in the next episode then.
No,
if
no,
you
no.
want
We
to.
can do it now. We can do it now. But
Okay.
we're leaning on honesty here.
Okay, so what I'm thinking about is that if I was to, maybe read something from the New Yorker they have the talent to do stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at what someone may observe. So I'm thinking that the two that were written by people were A and C, and I believe B was written by artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's ready for a drum roll here. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Very good. Very good.
But you see where I'm coming from on that, don't you?
Talk, talk to me some more. What was what was the deciding factor or factors?
Well, that little bit of excerpts we had the other day, the AI is programmed to be pretty clever. Let's face it, it's pretty clever. But unless you have some people really on the ground there, they would pick up something observed by two people. And the cast iron fence immediately said, that's got to be. I don't think they would think that as a computer, but two people would be standing there. They would be looking at what they were around. So I was using that criteria. So coupled with a little bit of logic, and I have MI, marginal intelligence, I would say.
Marginal intelligence. MI.
That was a guess, and a little bit of guesswork there. I'm guessing. Anyhow, I'm glad I made that one.
You did well, man. The string continues. Just to make you feel even better. I already gave this quiz to two people I know. They're both writers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and one got it right and one didn't. So
that's whatever their criteria was. So I'm sorry. Let me ask you a question, and let me give you a stump the buck question.
Okay, well, let me finish then before you try to stump me. I was just going to say I'll put a link to the place where the two real poems came from. The first one is called "Human Being" by Joshua Weiner, and the last one was called "The Ruins of Nostalgia 26" by Donna Stonecipher, and they're both in a literary journal, and so we'll put a link to that. So if people want to read the full poems or any other poems,
but your question to the AI was, tell me a story about two people in the city.
Mm-hmm.
That's that simple. I knew you would find this intriguing.
Yeah, actually, I said people in the city. I didn't specify the number two. Anyway,
let me ask you this.
All right, ask me.
Who or what are the fabulous hubcaps? I'll give you some choices.
The fabulous hubcaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me some choices.
I'm going to give you.
This is like a multiple choice.
This is going to be multiple choice.
Okay.
Okay. A. Is it a circus clown group? B. Is it a 50s doo-wop band?
I'm leaning towards B already.
C. Is it a collection of franchise collision repair shops? D. Is it an actual hubcap shop? There are such things. And
there's a lot of choices now.
It is a museum art display of car hubcaps. So which one is it?
Well, I was going strong towards B there, but now you got me confused. Too many choices. So I'm going to have to go with E. Hubcap Museum.
No, you were right. You were right on your first choice.
Stick with your gut feeling.
I know why I did this, Dave. I don't know what made me think of this.
Because you want to mess with me. Yeah.
No, I had a CD by this group, And you can
Really?
put, yeah, you
Okay.
anybody can Google this fabulous, the fabulous hubcaps. But have you ever heard of them before? Did you ever hear them?
No, no, I have not.
That's what I was thinking, that a lot of people wouldn't. And here's why I'm mentioning it on a podcast: is they're a collection of excellent musicians that have members come and go depending on their skill and ability, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They do a 50s, 60s, 70s, reminiscent kind of songs. They
Okay.
sing the songs of that era,
Uh-huh.
and they are fantastic. The fabulous hubcaps are actually a fantastic, and they're generally at maybe they'll be at a state fair or something, or they'll be at a club or some group or something will hire them to do that. But they put on a fantastic show. So I'm only telling our audience that if they ever see an advertisement and they say, and we're featuring the fabulous hubcaps,
Mm-hmm.
but buy a ticket and go see them. Especially if you're from our crowd, if you're from the over 60 crowd, they really good. They're really good, almost as good as the original performers. I mean, they're that excellent. So that's what the
And
fabulous.
if you should hear them, listen to them while you're in your car, flash your headlights, right?
Yeah, flash your lights.
Flash your lights.
Yeah, the fabulous.
Yeah,
I do not know
hubcaps.
what made me look that up, but I remember
Well,
looking
no,
the CD I had.
Nobody knows how you're wired the way you
Right.
are.
Hey, well, I do have a story for you. I have some other questions. I have another question for you. So
All
you
right.
did get that right.
Well, kind of right. That was my gut feeling, but all right, I'll take at least half credit on that.
Are you ready for me to pour my brain out, my soul out to you? This is a.
You're not gonna do this in front of a mirror, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, but you can picture this. You can picture this. I would have both hands on the table. We were sitting. We're in a coffee shop. We're sitting across from each other by a matter, inches away. 36 inches away,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got both hands on my cup.
Oh, good.
I'm looking,
not on your breasts.
Yeah,
Okay.
and oh yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm looking straight at you. So here my question is you. My question to you is this: Do you have any stamps in your house?
I do. Stamps.
Who is responsible for purchasing the stamps?
I'm generally assigned to purchase the stamps.
Okay, so you have the stamps.
My wife is the one who knows when we need stamps.
Okay.
She's
So your wife's
the organized
one who knows.
person. She's the organized person.
Who
in the
has
duo.
actual control of them? Who puts them in the drawer? Who sets them where they are?
Oh, she hides them. Once I give them to her, then she hides them. Makes me grovel for them anytime I need one.
Hey,
I'm not making this up.
No, I'm not making this up either. That's why I'm asking you, because this is, I mean, people listen to me now because you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so you may purchase them, but you hand them to your wife. I don't even purchase them. I just know that my wife has them because
they just show
them.
up. Huh? Okay.
And then, and what do we do when we need one? We have to say, where
are the stamps? Yep.
And mostly, in my case, my wife would say they are in the same drawer I always keep them in. And I said, I've just looked in there and I cannot find them.
See, my wife would say, why do you want to know that?
Okay, so everybody can relate to that portion. There's somebody, somebody's responsible for keeping track of that item in your household.
Okay. True. This is correct.
Do you have a sewing machine?
We do.
You do. Do you know where the instructions are on how to use it?
Absolutely not. What? No.
Okay. Now,
my wife is all right. My wife is a sewing wizard. Okay.
Okay. So you don't even have to ask for that because she will thread it for you.
Thread.
Right. If you was ever going to use it, but you
wouldn't. If I were going to use it.
In your case, you trust that entire process to your wife because she knows where the machine is. She knows how to put it together.
She knows how to use it.
She knows how to use it.
You can do all that stuff.
So that isn't on your radar. Now, in my case, my sewing machine is my machine.
Oh.
My wife really doesn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it sits for several years, I forget how to thread it.
You forget.
Is anybody out there ringing a bell? The light going on in some people's. I forget how does that thread go through there? You know, there's a certain pattern at that. And in the directions is a sample of that. It shows a picture of that, how to do it. So several times I wanted to sew something. I couldn't remember how to thread it. And I started looking for the instructions.
For the manual. Okay.
Okay. Now this is what happens after that happens. And you can tell me if this applies to you. So I'm starting to dig through the usual places where a booklet would be. And while I'm in that process, and this hunting process, I'm discovering other things. Like, oh, look, there's an old picture of me and Dave someplace. So I'm adding more and more time to my hunting process for
You're
the
down the
instructions.
rabbit hole now,
Right.
buddy.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So you're going through these drawers and flipping through stuff and you're thinking, I don't know, why am I keeping this? And so it sets you off on a wild goose chase, in which case I did not find it. And
did you still remember that's what you were looking for, though?
well, you get distracted. No, I stayed focused on it, but I didn't
Okay.
find it at that hunt, on that hunt.
On that hunt.
So I gave up. I'm making a point here. I'm going to tell you that I'm leading up to a story.
I believe you.
So I did not find it. And I said, okay, now what's the next scenario after that? When you're looking for a shovel or some bizarre thing that you don't know where it's at. And what do you run across in your old file under a pile of books? You find
the sewing machine instructions.
You find a sewing machine instruction. At that point, you say to yourself, I'm going to put this someplace that I can find it. Okay. Now, my question comes in. I need to know from our listeners, you, anybody, the strategy that you need to have to put things away, like small tools, tiny little Allen screws for, say, faucets, because most people outlive at least one pet and 3 faucets, you know, in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So I have a faucet that I need to take apart to check something on the stem, and that little Allen wrench, the size of a needle, a little bigger than a big needle, is somewhere in the house. What is the strategy you use to put things someplace that you expect to look for sometime in the near future, like 2 years later or 3 years later? I mean, when you put your IKEA furniture together, there's a tool. You think, I'll just set this aside in case I have to fix this. So my question to you is, what is your logic, and where do you put those things so you can find them?
Well, IKEA is different than a lot of other things, actually, because I put IKEA stuff together, and in fact, the last thing I put together was an IKEA bed, and I kept the instructions under the bed. Okay.
Logical place to put it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff I'll just throw in the tool drawer. But actually, some like things that I'll use often, I sprinkle duplicates around the house. So, where is that thing? And
you mean like your Phillips screwdriver? You got to have at least 6 of those.
I've got them in 6 different places. Yes.
So you don't have a strategy? What do you do with like this tiny little Allen wrench? I'm saying that takes your faucet apart. I told you one time I wanted to replace an aerator in a faucet.
Yeah, I remember that.
I beat that thing apart, and I had to use a micrometer to get the opening of it. And it turns out that there's a little key. There's actually a little key that fits that, and it screws out so simply, and you put the new one in a matter of seconds. Anyhow, I didn't have that key. So I'm hunting now for a little tiny Allen wrench. Couldn't be much more than 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter max. It's an SAE Allen wrench, not a millimeter, but because I have millimeters. I'm hunting and I'm hunting. I'm looking through the nuts and bolts drawer. I'm looking through the tool pile. I'm looking through the junk drawer. I'm looking through all the stuff. And I'm thinking, why did I forget where I put this? I mean, at the time, it seemed so perfectly that I would remember this. Now, is it because of age this is happening? Or I don't have a plan to put it in the right place?
Whatever it is, I'm doing the same thing.
So others may be suffering from the same problem. Where did I put that?
The same malady. Where did I put that? Oh, yeah. Now,
Well, I've got good news. I've got
okay,
good news.
you have a solution. You have a
No,
strategy now.
I wasn't successful on the first hunt. Again, I failed
It was
in
in the
the usual
sewing
selection.
machine, right?
And again, I fell into the same category. I started going through these drawers where I throw all this stuff in there. And then I started picking all the pieces out, all the empty plastic bags that I throw in there that I've emptied them, why I left them in there. So I spent a couple hours cleaning up again and thinning out the junk drawers, nuts and bolts drawer, and there's like 3 other drawers full of.
Yeah, I do that once a decade.
When you move houses, you end
Yeah.
up putting them in boxes and carrying them with you.
Yep.
So I did that, and I did not find it. I did not find it. So I was troubled by this little squeaky faucet.
It is troubling.
You know how I am about stuff like that.
I
I'm
know how you are
fixated on
about
it.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotta get it fixed. So I'm thinking, where would I put something small? Then I'm thinking, the only place I have not looked is in my watch. I have a watch box.
Tools. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the watch tools, watch box,
Mhm.
small little screws, and all kind of bits and pieces of watches that I've taken over the years and saving the stems and things. So I said, I'll bet it's in there. So I went through that, and sure enough, in the corner, I find the right wrench, and I take it apart, and I realize there's nothing I can do with this stem. It's just going to have to squeak.
It's
So
going to have to.
all the effort I put into that was for naught. I just put it back together and said, okay, the only way to repair this squeak is to buy a new faucet, and that'll be like the 4th faucet I outlived. And so
this is your retirement.
No, this is my invitation to all the old
okay.
bucks out there and the vivacious vixen. If you have a special logic that you use to put things away that you hope to find sometime in the future for future use, whether it's not an instruction manual, or a tool or something like that that you think you'll need again, tell me what it is, because I've got instruction manuals for old blood pressure machines that I've thrown away years ago.
You've already thrown away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yes, it's terrible.
Yep. Yep.
So anyhow, that's my story on how to resolve the putting a tool away or something.
Isn't there a woman who's gotten rich helping people like you?
I don't know.
You've heard of Marie Kondo or Kendo? She writes all this stuff on organizing your house. I think you need to talk to Marie. I think that's her name. Marie.
I think I told you my house is organized. I'd put everything on the wall that I need immediately.
You just can't find it.
Yeah,
I can't find anything.
I only have 4 knives and 4 spoons. I don't even have extra of anything. I mean,
okay.
And I just can't find this stuff. But again, my wife is not involved in that, so she might be more organized. Maybe if I gave her this stuff and asked her at some time in the future.
Okay, let me know how that goes.
You know that little 2mm wrench I gave you 12 years ago, dear. What did you do with that? Where did you put that? So
let me know how that upward delegation works for you.
But you personally, you sound like you don't have a strategy. You're just a hunt and peck like myself. You just go all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a strategy. I'll put this. It's like the same with passwords. Like, oh yeah, I'll remember this. You don't.
Anyhow, that's
maybe somebody will send a system.
That's old Bucksdell.
We'll post it.
Lament there. So
that's your lament.
Any letters from afar, by the way?
Actually, we've got a couple letters from afar. Speaking of lament, we got. I'm not going to read them out, but we got 3 different listeners, basically, essentially reporting nightmares, and envisioning you clutching your breasts in front of the mirror.
Well, they were pecs. They were pecs once. Now they probably would qualify.
Come on.
I think they would qualify as breast. Yeah, that's gravity for you. I don't know what to do. Never thought it would happen to me.
Remember that Seinfeld episode where?
Oh yeah, the man's ear.
The man's ear, George. Maybe that's the solution. I don't know, but that was burned into my brain here. You scared a few people with
those guys were way ahead of their time when it came.
They were way ahead of their time. Yeah, oh man. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as letters from afar. I may have sent you a couple more, but I've been unorganized today. It's like looking for an Allen key.
Well, I know that Elon, our buddy Elon, is looking for a new CEO.
He's got an opening. Yeah,
he's got an opening, and
you applying?
I can't even imagine what that job would entail. I mean, he might as well have artificial intelligence or anybody. Just pick the janitor or somebody. Say, listen, you're now in charge. Just do what I tell you. And the janitor could take all the heat. Because I don't think Elon's ever going to let control of that go. He loves that. And that's his thing. So
we shall see. We shall see. You see the Twitter people voted that he put it out on Twitter. He said, "Should I resign as CEO?" And like, 60% of them said yes. So
I think he makes those. I think he makes those things up.
He might. That's a good. He might. He might.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, who would know? Who's if he's counting the ballots, he could make anything up. He's 70% said I should stay. Who knows? We got time for a couple shout outs.
We do have time for some shout outs.
Shout away. As time goes by, around this time of year, I generally try to call a few people in my log. Some of them aren't even my phone. They're just in a book someplace that I have them written down.
That you can't find.
Well, I know where they are. I just have to go down that list and I'll see their name. And I call them once a year, sort of as a time marker.
And that's fair.
A couple people will no longer available to call, number one, and a couple people no longer remember me, number two. So enough time has passed that I did talk to them while I could. And we encourage that. We've always encouraged that from our first episode, that if you have an old friend, give them a shout, even if it's a brief hello. I wanted to shout out to an old friend, old Matarazz, Joe Matarazz in Georgia. I call him once a year, and he's getting older and just a great guy. So I made a few of those calls and got through to quite a few people. Like I said, a couple wasn't able to do that anymore. And so shout out to him and Vivacious Vixen number one.
Oh.
I haven't heard from her. Just a saint, a true saint.
Well, she did. She did send a note about you and your COVID bout.
Yeah, that would be.
You recall?
That would be her caring nature.
She's thinking about you. Yeah.
After all those years, she's just a generally caring person. So big shout out to her and all that she's dealing with and her family. And a few other listeners out there, they know who they are. We care about them all. And this is a time of year I encourage everybody to make that call. Just go ahead and do that one time. Won't hurt. Or send that card. That sometimes helps too. Get a little card from out of the blue. So.
Okay. Hey, well, listen, while we're doing this, you triggered something. I've been carrying this around for a couple of weeks here, trying to decide whether I wanted to actually say it or not. But you talked about the ones we can't call anymore. I would just like to just mention that my cousin Pat died a few weeks ago of a brain aneurysm.
Suddenly?
Yes, suddenly.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm kind of been anguished over whether to mention it, but I just want to recognize her, someone I knew, someone I was related to. She's somebody who wasn't famous, but she's just a fine person. She was a year younger than I was, and she grew up in the Mon Valley, Pennsylvania. And she was very studious as a child, so we used to play brain games when we get together. So she was really a bright gal, and I can't say we were really close, but we got to know each other better as we got older. And she had kind of a storybook romance. I mean, she went to Rome on a holiday, on vacation. She met Gino, a Roman guy, a banker. They married eventually.
Oh.
Yeah. And they lived in Rome for a number of years. And we visited them, I think it was 1971. Pat introduced me to cappuccino long before anybody ever heard of it in the U.S., man. It's like, wow, this stuff is great. That was one of the things I just remember. And she and Gino took us to a neighborhood political rally where the guy standing on the car. Like they have elections like every other week in Italy. It was great. And then these guys in the crowd there. So we were English, and they're practicing their English on me. It was great. And we went to the Italy-Brazil soccer match. This was a kind of a kind of a repeat of the World Cup the previous year. And while I was not, a huge soccer fan, I could understand by just how you got swept up in the whole thing.
So you were doing this with her in Italy.
In Italy, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they took us
Oh,
to the
wow.
Mediterranean, the beach one day, and introduced us to new foods, calamari and all kind of grilled seafood. No, it was great. Well, she
And
worked at Arthur Anderson most of her career, both in Italy, and then when they came back to the U.S. And relocated to Portland, Oregon in '93, I believe, and opened an Italian restaurant.
oh, wow.
Yeah. Now Gino passed away in 2007. Great guy. But the family still has the restaurant. She had lots of grandchildren. She was loved by all. And the really kind of thing that bothers me is we had just reestablished an email relationship a few weeks prior. We'd send each other a note once a year or something, but we were swapping, remember this, remember that, and we need to get together here sometime. And we can't do that. So we miss you, Pat. You were a sweetie. Cousin
Yeah,
Pat.
I do know what you mean. Some cousins that thankfully are still around. If something did happen to them, I would feel it. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
I knew them.
Yep.
I knew them. And what's that that one saying that I probably repeated in many broadcasts was, the last man that passes away that knew me as a boy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That one always chokes me up a bit.
Yeah.
Knew me as a boy, because you know how that is. A lot of people, many people we meet along the way, but not very many people know you as a boy, and that would be me.
Yeah.
That would be me. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I hope the listeners take heed to that. We feel strongly about that, and thanks for bringing that up, Dave.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's time to wrap it up here today. Wish a happy holiday season to you, certainly, and to everybody listening. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Yeah, going back to Seinfeld, Happy Festivus. You remember Festivus?
For those listeners who believe in that, huh? So
Yeah. So we
well, speaking of stuff like that, I mean, I would like to say to all the listeners, certainly have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. But I also like to encourage that they do this without any drama or trauma. You know what I mean? This time of year, the folks may be in the snow belts or something, listen to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope your car doesn't get stuck. I hope you make it to the dinner on time.
Yeah.
I hope you don't drop a cutting board on your toe. Because there's a lot of activity, a lot of group activity this time of year. And I hope there's no discussion that anybody gets upset about whether or not to have cranberry sauce with this or that, and anything else like that. So that's my wish for everybody, that they move around safely, that they just get through these holidays, and things tend to slow down a little bit. Of course, the drama and trauma still come up, but it's really hopefully unnecessary at this time of year. You don't want to add that in. And all those people stranded at the airport that might be listening to us.
Yeah. Cursing
about those folks.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's my wish for everybody. And certainly this is old Buck Dell saying thank you so much. This is a milestone for us when we get to this date. And like I said, we start our countdown for our next mile marker.
Getting close.
Yeah, and we'll carry on as long as we got the production staff of Dave, and Dave.
Yeah, they're getting older. I hope they stick around.
All right.
All right.
Old Buck Dell saying thank you very much.
Old Buck Dave right here, right behind you. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.